Hello, Cringe Crew Music Podcast, Series 2, talking about the entire Radiohead discography. This episode, we are listening to In Rainbows, which, interesting thing about this album. So their previous album, Hail to the Thief, was their final album that they released with their then record label EMI. So In Rainbows was a self-released album. So basically between, 2004 and 2006, the band went on hiatus. And by 2006, the band could be considered the world's most popular unsigned band, which is interesting.
Interesting.
This album has a B-sides collection, just kind of referred to referred to as In Rainbows Disc 2. 8 tracks. We're not going to be listening to that since it's, the B-sides album. But I will say that track number 2 on that, Down Is the New Up, is solid. That's really the only track on that I've listened to. Maybe someday I'll get around to the rest of it. But if you like, the main bit of In Rainbows, maybe check that out if you want. But yeah, I got nothing else. I am seeing, I'm seeing Ghost and Amon Amarth tomorrow, which I'm excited for. So by the time we record the next episode, I'll be talking about that. So at the time we're recording this, I'm seeing the show tomorrow. So when we record next weekend, I'll talk about it then. So next episode, I'll be talking about it. Anyway, guess we can get started here. Track number 1, 15 Step.
All right, so I really liked this musically for the most part. I thought it was super percussive and technical. I thought there were a whole lot of really cool sounds that went through it. I liked the way that they just kind of shut sound down for the last line in the chorus. It really brought attention to Tom's lyrics, and they were actually understandable, which was pretty cool. The only thing that really bothered me about this one was when the string instruments came in. I thought the guitar just kind of didn't fit at all, but it was only in there for a minute in the middle. It only kind of existed after the chorus ran through the first couple of times and then through the first verse, and then it just disappeared again. But for the minute that it was there, it was really kind of disjointed. Otherwise, I really enjoyed this one. This sounded really good.
I also like this one a lot. I love that kind of almost textured electronic sound that they went with for this one. Has kind of that drum and bass sort of influence behind it. Maybe it's just me being inebriated, but I thought the first 2 lines sounded like one straight garbled sentence. And then I realized that they had done, again, something that I thought was kind of unconventional, and put the chorus first. Very first thing is labeled the chorus. Very interesting song, I guess, lyrically, but what else can you say about Tom and his lyrics, though? I did like it.
Yeah, this is good. I really like the beat on this and the electronic stuff that's going on. It's solid. Really good. Alrighty, track number 2, Body Snatchers.
I do not understand.
I actually liked this one a lot too, but for different reasons, I think. This one sounded super pop influenced, which I think is kind of uncommon for Radiohead. Normally they sound not too distant from pop, but this one sounded like a pop rock song. I thought the lyrics were pretty interesting, that they tried to keep themselves different and they just couldn't completely break away from it. Which are themes that we've hit this whole time. My one big takeaway, though, is that everything was just kind of noisy. There was a lot of reverb and distortion with the music, and I think it kind of fit with the theme of the lyrics. This actually felt like a really cohesive piece, and I enjoyed it a lot.
I agree that this one felt very cohesive. It had that very I don't want to use the word stressful, but it had that very staticky kind of overwhelming kind of feeling sometimes. And Tom also, like, I feel like he altered, I don't want to say altered his voice, but like had a slightly different cadence this time whenever he was singing. That made it interesting. Also, just something that I noted, at the very end of Genius, one of them says, someone's annotation says, alternatively, this line can be interpreted as "I'm alive." The sentence after that, Tom York's unique style of delivery often leaves ambiguity in the words being sung, and this alternative lyric can be. That is the most amount of words I've heard someone to just say he doesn't enunciate.
True.
I did like the song a lot. It was fun, and it was a little bit more, maybe not lyrically, but musically was more fast and upbeat.
Yeah. A lot going on with this one, in a good way. There was like one moment early on. I'm not really sure how to describe it. It sounded like the closest thing that I could compare it to is it sounded like there was a theremin or something in there. But I'm not 100% sure what that was. But I really liked that sound in there at the beginning there. If you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, really good song. All right, track number 3, Nude.
So while I definitely preferred the upbeat first couple of songs, I did kind of enjoy this. It was smooth, everything flowed together, it all felt really well composed. I don't know if it was the different recording label or what they've done to producers, but everything just feels like it's more cohesive and all of the parts are put together in a way that I didn't necessarily get from slower songs that they've done on previous albums. I really like the way this one feels like it's one idea from beginning to end.
Yeah, it's. I was thinking that the second, about within the first 5 seconds of the song, I was thinking to myself that this sounded similar to like the older albums, not necessarily exactly, but in the kind of tempo and the atmosphere that they bring. And then I just took the guess that, wondering when was this song written and thought up of. And I look on Genius, and it's originally written and recorded during OK Computer. I swear one day I'll hear new music that wasn't written. I'm just kidding. I did like this one a lot. It does feel kind of like a more polished version of of songs from that era, even though I really liked those songs from that album. But yeah, I still liked it, and of course, Tom. I think I'm just gonna limit myself to mentioning his mumbling once per album, or else it's just gonna be everything I say. So
Yeah, that seems to be a running theme where Radiohead will come up with an idea for a song, and then they'll just kind of hang on to it for like 4 albums or something, and then they'll finally like decide that they like the current iteration of it and put it on an album. That happens a lot, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
But this song, I've heard this before, and I never really liked it the first couple of listens through, but I think this time it finally clicked with me. I don't know. Sometimes I like the slower songs, but like if I'm listening to them casually, I may not always put them on. I think there's maybe only like a small handful that I'll listen to kind of casually or whatever. I don't know that this would be one of them, but I don't hate it. I actually really like this one, I think, now that it's kind of clicked, I think. Definitely, I think smooth is a good way to describe it. Yeah, it's just kind of a chill, kind of mellow track. It's solid. All right. Track number 4, Weird Fishes.
All right. I really like the cascading music. I like that this one was upbeat. Everything just really hit all the right notes. Everything blended really well. I thought that historically Radiohead has done some difficult things as far as like balancing how loud the lyrics are versus how loud the music is. And I thought even that was really well done here. I guess my big takeaway that like the only real negative I have is right after that little like bridge where the music kind of slows. Then it just kind of picks up with noise that we haven't heard in the rest of the song, and it almost sounds like it should be two different tracks. I get that at the end they kind of blend it back together, but I one section to the next is just kind of abrupt. Honestly, though, I'm really enjoying this album so far.
I also like this one a lot. I loved the almost flowing of like instruments kind of being picked up and added onto the like pile essentially. And I loved the kind of fluidity that it was able to transition into, or like through the verse into the chorus, and then I really appreciate. Maybe not appreciate's the right word. Um, I guess it made me appreciate how well the music like transitioned, because then that outro kind of sprung back into what like kind of the beginning of the song sounded like, with that like upbeat drums. It was very good. I like this one a lot.
So this is the track that I probably remember the most from when I listened to this album previously. And I definitely think that this is probably like in my top 5 favorite Radiohead songs. Like, I think just from front to back, this is incredible. I love the instrumentation on this a lot. It's so good. I love this song. It's great. All right. Track number 5. All I Need.
Just another one that's really great with its instrumentation. I guess the musical element is a little bit repetitive, at least the bass line pieces of this here. But honestly, it flows really well. Again, super well mixed, all one cohesive piece. Everything is like in a good volume with everything else. It all just kind of flows. Even as a slower ish song, it doesn't feel too slow. Everything just feels really good about this song.
Yeah, I did enjoy the like, I guess maybe sort of comparison to the like music wise to the last one, where, or contrasting, where this one switched back to the slow burn Radiohead that we have gotten to know the past couple of albums. I really kind of liked the piano in this track. I thought it was maybe not isolated necessarily, but it was more prominent maybe, and I really enjoyed hearing that. Yeah, it was good. I liked it.
I think this is good. Yeah, I don't hate this. I really like kind of the way that this ends. There's like little bits in the background that if you listen really hard, you can kind of pick them up that aren't like super apparent. Maybe. Yeah, solid track. It's good. All right, number 6, Faust Arp.
Wakey, wakey, rise and shine. It's on again, off again, on again.
I think this is the first one on this album that I can say that like I didn't thoroughly enjoy. Um, the lyrically, it just kind of flowed through super fast. Like even if the words were poignant, which I think Conley kind of established in the last album that we should just stop making sense of them, but they were poignant. You know, I feel like this one they just kind of got through them so fast that like you couldn't stop to think about them anyway. In a way that just kind of felt rushed. I didn't mind it necessarily, and I still thought instrumentation was good, but this felt sort of off.
Yeah, maybe just because I haven't seen Tom say it yet on this album, but this album seems to have more cohesive lyrics as well, where it doesn't look like they've been pulled randomly out of a hat. It looks like they took the time to put lyrics where they thought they would go. Not saying that they were bad before, but you know, um, I can definitely kind of see the cohesiveness lyrically in these ones. Um, I thought this one was very interesting because it's different than what we've heard so far, at least on this album. Maybe not different, but um, it it's interesting short for Radiohead. I feel like they usually don't do, sub 3-minute songs that often. Maybe I'm wrong. But I don't know. I enjoyed it. It wasn't good, wasn't awful.
Yeah, this feels weird to me. I don't know if I don't know. This one just something about it doesn't sit right. I don't hate it. I think it's okay. It's just not particularly nothing about it really stands out. It's just kind of it's all right. Just kind of weird, I guess. I don't know. All right. Track number 7, Reckoner.
So I didn't dislike this one, but I enjoyed it less than I've liked others on the album. This one just kind of felt more neutral. I love the instrumentation. Everything felt big and bold and purposeful. Again, super percussive, and I think the rhythm of the percussion kept it upbeat enough that it didn't just slow down to hell. Um, but Conley, since you already used your one for this album about Tom Mum, I think I'll throw mine now because this may have well have been one syllable for the entire song. No, I didn't mind it. It just it felt a little different than most of the other stuff on this album, while still very clearly belonging on this album.
It's really weird that that statement can just make so much sense, that it's so different of the other songs, but still fits on in this one, I think, more than the other ones. Um, I do kind of feel similar. I don't hate it. I don't dislike it, but I'm not super big on it. Um, I did enjoy the like more orchestral kind of production. Those are always kind of fun because that Radiohead's very good at making those sound very intricate and technical. Um, I just I need to stop looking at Genius because they have some of the most pretentious shit. I swear to God. The first clicking on Reckoner, the first fucking lyric, it they link a photo of like a medieval biblical painting, and guys,
Oh,
I know that you're super. I know that you love Radiohead, love them to death. I don't think they're that deep.
there's a bit if you scroll down where they're talking about the bit in the chorus where it says in rainbows, and they're mentioning that just so happens to be at the golden ratio within the album.
No,
Jesus Christ.
no, my fucking God. Oh my God, these people are insane. These are actually insane. I like the song. I think it's good. You don't need to just start writing shit to like justify it being good. It can just sound good. Oh God. I mean I did like it.
Uh, I forget about this song sometimes. Like I said, I have listened to this album all the way through, but I've kind of forgotten some of the tracks on this one, and I forgot that this one's like pretty good actually. Um, yeah, I don't know. I kind of sort of get what you mean, that it kind of doesn't fit, but it also does maybe. But I really like this one. It is good. All right, track number 8, House of Cards.
So I didn't hate this one either, but I also would never go out of my way to listen to this song. It's like the perfect background noise to get something done because it's got just enough going on to have it be fulfilling and entertaining without like needing to put any effort into it whatsoever. It was transient, it was still musically good. There was enough of like distorted, echoey reverberation happening in the background that kind of kept things like all one sound consistent throughout it, so it wouldn't be distracting, but it also like wasn't distracting enough to be forced into paying attention to it. I liked it, just maybe not intentionally liking it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think this might be the most like clear, direct, and like um literal I think I've ever seen Tom's lyric be, because the first two lines, I don't want to be your friend, I just want to be your lover. I feel like 2 albums ago it would have been something a lot more vague, but now he's just saying it. He just I want to fuck you, not be your friend. And this song's lyrics are very confusing to me, because I feel like the way that Tom talks in this song would be the kind of guy that he would talk like he would sing about in like a bad way, like the one that's encouraging someone to cheat. This is a very interesting one. Musically, I did enjoy it a lot. Just lyrically, very weird.
Yeah, this one kind of meh for me. Also, I think. I don't think it's bad. It's just not really my favorite. And the lyrics are kind of questionable. Yeah, I don't know. It's really weird.
Tom, you're confusing.
All right. I really like that Conley led this off with, it's the most straightforward lyrics, and then we're all confused because they were straightforward.
No, exactly. Because he's never done it before, and now it's like, wait, is he being serious or not? God damn it, Tom.
Anyway, getting to the end here. Track number 9, Jigsaw Falling Into Place.
All right. I feel like I have a lot to say about this one. I want to start off with the idea that, like, as we went, like, all confused because he was straightforward, now he uses a line, words are sawn off shotguns. He just said words to say words. As you get through this song, I think, though, like, most of the lyrics are pretty straightforward. He's trying to take home this girl from the bar. There's a line in the second verse where it's like, I didn't do it, but everybody pretend I did, which is really bad. The whole thing is just Tom's horny on main, dude. Like, this is just, I was trying to hook up with someone and it didn't work. Horny on main. Like, that's the whole thing. I don't think it was a bad sound, but, like, bro, the thirst. I cannot.
Yeah, this definitely reads the trying to get that drunken hookup to work. This I actually enjoyed Tom's delivery on this a little bit more. It was a little bit more like fast paced than his other songs. He sounds a little bit more alive. I think I actually enjoyed this one a little bit more than I've enjoyed the past couple, I'd say.
Yeah, this is really good. I like this one. As for the lyrics, it seems that this is roughly based on the band's time in college at Oxford. But it's not 100% autobiographical. It's more so just a set of observations of, random drunken nights in college kind of thing. Which, okay, sure.
Yeah, sure it was. What did you say?
Yeah, good song. I like this one.
I think it's interesting that you say it's like vaguely from college, even if it's not direct. Like you said earlier that somebody brought it up that, there was a whole lot of like, hey, we wrote this song in like 1991 and we've sat on it for 15 years until we could release it. And I guess that even now we're doing that with concepts, like let alone unreleased songs.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like what they do is that they'll come up with like one iteration of a song like way early on and then decide that they don't like it and then just kind of like rework it over the course of several years until they do like it. Because I think I was reading a thing about a previous track on this album where they, before the album came out, they had a list of songs that they wanted to test live, and one of them ended up not making it, and then eventually they performed it live with different lyrics, and then eventually when they made it to the album, it had the lyrics that it had on the album. So I don't know. It's interesting that they just kind of like prototype a bunch of songs. I'm not really sure how like what goes into writing albums and songs and stuff, because we're not musicians by any means, but I do think that process is interesting. All right. Final track, number 10, Videotape.
When I'm at the pearly gates.
So this one was sort of repetitive in a way that the rest of the repetition on the album wasn't. The rest of the album, it was repetition to create kind of like a bass line, and this one the repetition felt kind of annoying. It felt like it was just kind of building towards something where it would be another impactful end to an album, and then everything just kind of faded out except the piano and drums that didn't fit the tempo. And it just, I don't know. This was kind of a disappointing end to an otherwise like really good album.
You know, I'm not sure if this is the first, but I'm not sure how many other bands could fit Mephistopheles into their lyrics as just like one whole solid unbroken word. I'm not sure how many bands could pull that off, honestly. I thought that, I'm not sure, I can't say I liked or disliked this song. This one was very interesting. I feel like maybe they were trying to use the percussion in, I guess, a different way, because yeah, it definitely was not, you know, on like tempo correctly. I don't know. Tom's the kind of person, that whole band is the kind of band that that we've said before that we think, or I think, is going to be super deep, and they tell me that, nah, that was just because we were fucking around one day and decided that, yeah, that's going to be on the album now. So I can't tell if this is supposed to be super fucking deep and melancholy, or if it's just Tom saying, this is what I feel like playing today. It's interesting. I'll say that it's interesting, which is, I think, this is probably, to me, the most, like, interesting song on the album that I would like want to learn more about.
Yeah, this one is weird. I think that the drums at the end there, they were like kind of bordering on annoying a little bit, just because they were kind of off. Yeah. But there were parts of this song that I liked for sure. And I don't think it was bad by any means. It's just another weird one, really, I think. I don't really know like what else I could envision for like an ending for this album in particular. Like, I feel like it works, but there's just little things about it that I think are really strange. I don't know. Alrighty. So, I went ahead and put my ratings for the albums in a little spreadsheet just so it can be more organized, so that I don't have to remember how I rated things previously. So this one I kind of struggled to rate, but I think I'm gonna put it right between OK Computer and The Bends. So we're 7 albums in, so that would be 4th. So going from number 1 down to the bottom, Kid A, Amnesiac, OK Computer, In Rainbows, The Bends, Hail to the Thief, and then Pablo Honey still in last for me.
So I want to tell you that like that this is far and away my favorite album that we've listened to so far. And I will say, like, without a doubt, if I were going to go and re-listen to an album intentionally, start to finish, this would be the one. The only like detraction I give myself before I confidently put it there is the idea that like we've had 6 previous albums that were anti-war, anti-capitalism, you know, anti-music industry. Like there was some kind of like punk elements, and I feel like in this album all of that just kind of evaporated. So it kind of like melted away from Radiohead's sound. But I think that I enjoyed this album enough that I can kind of like almost look past those things and get into like, hey, I understand it was closer to pop and they were never a pop band. But I really think that I enjoyed this one enough to put it first. So for me, the top to bottom is then In Rainbows, Kid A, The Bends, Amnesiac, Pablo Honey, OK Computer, and then Hail to the Thief.
Yeah, so this one sits in a weird spot for me. It's definitely not my favorite one. So I'd have to say, going from actually, no, I'll go opposite way. I'll go, actually, no, I'll stick with you guys. Top to bottom, I'd have to say that probably Amnesiac, then Kid A, OK Computer. Although those three, I swear, those three are kind of interchangeable. Like one week they could probably be in different spots. Then I put the Bends in fourth. Then I would do In Rainbows. And then I think I would do Pablo Honey, Hail to the Thief. I think I listened to Pablo Honey last week. I started to like it a little bit more than when we first listened to it.
Okay. Interesting. All right. So, next episode, is going to be a weird one, I think. So King of Limbs is next. That's their 2011 release. And without spoiling anything, I'm just going to say that this is a weird one. It's going to be a weird one. That's also about as far as I've gotten listening to it. Their kind of most recent album, Moonshaped Pool, which is the last album that we're going to be listening to, which came out in 2016, by the way. I have not listened to that album at all, aside from the first track on that album. So once we get to after we do King of Limbs, I'm gonna be kind of going in blind, not really knowing anything about it. So yeah, excited for next episode because like I said, it's gonna be a weird one. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay.
I got nothing else, so I guess we can wrap up. Catch you guys next time.
Mm-hmm.
See y'all.